See, I do my own gunshot. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Dope and Dharma. I, of course, am the Dharma Guy, and he is the Dope Doctor, and together we are Dope and Dharma. What's up, man? Mm-hmm. As you take your sip there of your fantastic Celsius beverage. Anyways,
needed. I've been working.
You know what? Me as well. I usually don't do mine until like 5, but I'm feeling a bit exhausted today. Anyways, you are tuned in to Dharma Time. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you're watching us live, once again, this is facebook.com/WPSN99. Hopefully you guys will join in the discussion today because I think we got a doozy for us. If not, on our social media, I did post a poll that I have quite a few responses that I can't wait to get to. Yeah, I think that's all I got. Let's just get right. Whoa. First of all, we do have some housekeeping to clean up, right? First and foremost, obviously, thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you're watching us on whatever podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, all that stuff. It does help us. However, we do have I'm going to go ahead and announce it because I don't think we can sign up just yet or do whatever, but I think we need to start talking about it. We have a thing coming up that we did last year called the Hope-a-thon, and it is coming up again this year. The date, mark your calendars, is November 13th from midnight to midnight. We are going to be live on Orange TV here locally, and then I'm sure we're going to be on Facebook or something like that. I don't know if we have all those details as of yet. However, looking forward to it. I get full transparency for those of you who've been watching us for however long we've been doing this. I was not fired up about the Hope-a-thon when it first came around, but I was proven wrong, and I can admit that. It turned out really, really well. So if you were not able to watch last year's, I encourage you to check out this year's, and you can learn more about it. Is the website up yet? The independenceday.com? Okay, it's not up yet. So stay tuned to us, and we'll let you know when it is up. However, I think we're going to start asking people for some submissions, if not today, very soon.
What are you doing now?
We do now?
Yeah.
You wanna roll that beautiful bean footage?
Yeah, well, you go to telemedclinics.com.
Okay.
Telemed Clinics, clinics with an X at the end, .com, and there is a way on that page to submit your message of hope. And basically how you do it is you just put your phone sideways, landscape mode, record yourself giving some sort of inspirational message of hope to anyone out there that may need to hear it, whether it be your favorite quote, whether it be just something really cool that you have to say, whatever. As long as you're not chastising people. It's the only thing I wouldn't air. But other than that, any kind of message of hope, and then submit it. You'll see how to submit it from there. That's it.
Right on. And like I said, it was good times. Continue to tune into our stuff, and we'll continue to update people and talk about it throughout the coming weeks and months. But mark your calendar, November 13th, it is coming, and I'm actually looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good one. Having said that, let's just jump into today's topic. You mentioned using our phones, which would be technology. And it looks like somebody behind you is riding a motorcycle. I like it. But anyways, so you discussed using our phones to shoot some footage and submit, all of which is utilizing technology. The technology of the camera, the phone, email, sending it, things of that nature. Right. All of which make that process extremely quick and extremely easy for anybody to do, right? So that begs the question that I put a poll the other day, and Richard, I don't know if he's tuned in at the moment or not, but I know he's been clamoring for this episode for quite some time. So I hope he's able to tune in to contribute today. But anyways, so I asked a question on our polling on our social media. I asked basically, is technology helping us or is it hurting us? And is social media included or in that, and is it any different? The reason why I asked that is because it seems to be a hot topic that's been debated amongst so many people right now. Because it affects all of us in different ways, and then in addition, I think it's maybe a week now that the Wall Street Journal, I believe it was, they released a study that didn't bode well for social media, more specifically Instagram and Facebook, and so that reignited some of these conversations. And I think the conversation has been out there. A lot of it had to do with the censorship that's been going on, but more importantly, I'm talking about just as a whole in general. I wanted to have this conversation because it seems like everybody's got an opinion about technology, right? And before I get to the poll results, which I think everybody kind of is probably fully aware of what they're going to say at this point, because they were all kind of the same vibe I got from most people. And that, well, let's just get to it anyways. I won't read them specifically at the moment. I'll just give the overall consensus there. The overall consensus was either A, technology is not inherently good or bad. It just is. It's how we utilize it. Or, yes, it's bad for us. That was the main consensus that I got. Which I think is interesting. And the reason why I find it interesting is the hands down the vibe that I get when we have these conversations. Either because you and I, we've had it obviously at length, but when we talk to other people, it always seems to be the prevailing idea is, yes, social media and technology in general is like the bane of society at the moment, and it's ruining us and things of that nature, right? Like people staring at their phones and not interacting or not talking, just
right.
Just a plethora of excuses and reasons and all these things, right? But what I think is interesting is first of all, our definition of technology.
Mm-hmm.
When people think technology, they typically think computers and stuff like that. But what they don't realize is fire is technology. The wheel is technology. Like, technology in and of itself is basically loosely defined as anything that we, come up with essentially that makes our lives easier. So all of technology, without that, we'd still be in the Stone Ages, like, trying to figure this whole fire thing out. But what I find interesting is people complain about what they define technology as, but we all still use it, right? Like, unless you're Ted Kaczynski living in a shed out in the middle of Montana, you're and even he used some form of technology, right? You're using it, right? So even the poll that I put on there, everybody was able to answer the poll and say that yes, technology is bad because they're using technology.
So it was a trick.
Well, it just feels, I guess that's the conundrum of our time, right? Before we get really into all this, is number one, it's like, if you think it's that bad, then you're hypocritical for using it, aren't you? Or if you say, well, it's not bad, I'm just using it the right way, well, then you're admitting that you're not the only one out there that could use it the right way, so it's really not that bad. So it's like this weird kind of conundrum that you get into, to where how do you answer that, right? Right. And I think the reason why most people think it's bad is, I think it's a knee-jerk reaction, right? All these older generations always look at the new generation, what they're doing, what they're bringing, as the problem. Like we've mentioned it numerous times. Elvis Presley shaking his hips was, the devil, and this is going to be bad. I'm old enough to remember when Luke was having his CDs burned in the middle of Miami here, and I can't remember the.
Ozzy Osbourne was the devil too.
Oh yeah, biting the head off. Yeah. Which, by the way, it was an accident. He didn't realize it was a live bat. By the way, like I've read the stuff into that.
That's what happens when you're high, man.
Exactly. So all that was just basically to say that I think some of this can be explained away with every older generation thinks the newer generation is crazy and is ruining things. But I also don't think it's that simple. And so before I get into a little bit more of what you and I were discussing last night, which I think is going to be interesting, what are your immediate thoughts when we start talking about this?
My immediate thoughts is that I want to separate some things. I want to further define things.
Sure.
So like you said, it's got to either be one or. So if it's one or one or the other, I'm going to say yes, it's affecting us, and it's. I think all things typically affect us more positively than negatively,
right?
Other than this one, and I'll explain why. Because technology gives us all of our wants. Not our needs. It's all about wants. There's nothing need about technology. It's all, I like it better, I like it faster, I like it stronger, whatever it is, right? It's all wants.
By technology, are you talking about like electronics and things, or are you talking about?
Well, I'm trying to stick to just the social media aspect that you're intending.
Sure.
I know when you put the poll up, you're not talking about all technology. But all the social media does is give us a lot more wants. I mean, even just the social media part. I want to know what's happening. I want to, give my 2 cents on a certain issue, or I want to just, bitch about something real quick.
Sure.
But we don't need it.
No.
But once you have it, and you take it away, oh,
No, that's a problem. Yeah.
oh, well, now it's a problem. So I would say yes, of course it affects us in a negative way. I can't imagine anything positive that we really get from it other than immediate gratification over and 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 over again. And then when we don't get it and we get some sort of negative input, now it's going to just get me mad, get me mad, get me mad, get me mad, get me mad,
Right.
get me mad. So then it's just defriend. And even though I don't do it, I know some people out there that do
Yeah.
it. They just keep defriending anyone that thinks differently than them, or just blocking people that think differently.
Sure.
That's on them. I don't judge them for it. It's just I just don't do it.
All right, so let's unpack this, right? I'm going to say that there
A lot
is
of unpacking.
yes. I'm going to say there's positive, there's negative, and there's unknown. Right. So let's start with the positives.
Oh, thought about. Oh, so you've thought about this.
Well, we've talked about it. Like remember we talked about it last night. So I think there's positive, there's negative, and there's unknown. So if we're going to break it down that way, let's start with the positives, right? The positives of technology as a whole and even social media. Technology as a whole, I mean, it's made life, easier, right? It's expanded our lifespans. It's brought medicines, things of that nature. We don't die from the common cold anymore because we have things like Sudafed and stuff. We have. So the positive is it's connected us in ways like using social media, right? There's family members that don't live immediately in the immediate vicinity of other family members that can kind of see kids in important moments in their friends' lives.
Right.
I remember when I was a little kid,
All
we
the
had
birthdays.
yeah. I remember when I was a kid, I had a pen pal, and I remember we would write, and it would take like a week or so for it to come back. Like I remember it was in elementary school. We all had pen pals, right? I think
Were they in jail?
no, I think mine was in France, if I remember correct. I don't remember, but it was cool. But it also took like a week, 2 weeks sometimes for me to get a reply back. And so now we can do that exact same thing within seconds, and so I think that technology has done. I mean, it's brought us out of the Stone Age, right? I mean, it's helped us see.
Is that where we were in the 80s?
Yeah. It's helped us. It's helped us, explore the moon, and now we've seen pictures of Mars. We've expanded our horizons. Like I said, medicine has completely changed the game for us. It's our life expectancy is doubled, if not tripled, at certain times. It's also given people a voice that didn't previously had one. All that stuff with Boko Haram and all that, we would have never known about that had it not been for people posting. Even as recent as this Gabby situation with Gabby, they found that because they saw it on social media. And that enabled them to realize, hey, I've seen that van somewhere. Let me report it and stuff. So, I think a tremendous amount of positivity has come from both technology and social media. And for the purposes of this discussion, I think we should combine those two because as some people think that we should separate them. But to me, you can't cherry pick technology. It's kind of all one and the same. Like, advancements are advancements and technology is technology. You can't say, well, this is good, but this isn't, because they're all kind of connected. One sort of leads to the next. So I think technology as a whole, oh my gosh, like information. You and I both are old enough to remember the Dewey Decimal System. Like having to look in a card catalog and go to the library and find it, and somebody didn't put it back the right way, and it's checked out. Now I got to wait for somebody to return it. Blockbuster, like go in there and your favorite movie wasn't there. Like I remember those days, and it's so much more convenient now to have information and knowledge literally in my pocket whenever I need it. Whether it be stupid facts that I just want to look up right now, or whether it be something actually important that I need to look up and have access to. I think knowledge is power and data is power. And we have access to more knowledge and more data than we've ever had in the history of humanity at our fingertips. I don't see how that's a bad thing. Like, I think that's an amazing thing. Any other positives you can think of at the moment while I read some of these comments?
Well, I think what I really like
We're focused on positives right now, just so you know.
All right, just positives. Well, the positives is that there's always someone out there that's willing to read the book to me that I want read to me. I constantly have someone read books to me. I love it. It's almost like you're always 3 years old or 5 years old and you're in bed. There's always someone reading a book to me because I like books on tape kind of thing. Like audiobooks is what we call them now. There used to be books on tape.
Yeah.
But I love audiobooks, man. I've read books that I've never read before because someone else is reading it to me while I'm driving. Let me see another positive. I really like the biggest positive I like of all social media, especially, are the birthdays thing. I love the pictures of family members and all the kids and all,
Yeah.
because you never used to get that. I remember, and I still have them. Like when people, like family members, would send you like the little tiny pictures. Remember, every year you'd get a school picture, and
Oh,
they'd
yeah.
send you the little,
Yeah.
But now you get to be part of every moment of their life if you choose to.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. And then
I think so.
And then it can experience moments of other people's lives. And I agree with Marissa. I saw that Marissa said something about the only reason she keeps Facebook is for family members' pictures and all.
Yeah.
Me too. I would not be on Facebook. Zuckerberg to me drives me nuts. He's one of those aliens that I know is in my head. He's in my life, and I can't get away from him. But he's that alien, and so. But he invented something debatable. He invented
Or stole,
something,
depending on how you look at it.
or whatever. He stole it really well.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna steal it,
He
that
definitely
well,
improved upon it.
you deserve it. But he invented something that allows us to stay connected with so many more individuals than we normally would.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't do it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to pick up that phone and call that many people and go, hey, so how's it going? It's always like, well, how's the weather over there? You notice that nobody posts the weather on Facebook unless it comes with a really cool picture?
Yeah. Well, there's no need to.
But all those same people, if you would talk to them, that's the conversation.
Yeah.
Is it hot there? Is it cold there?
Yeah.
Because on a telephone, all you know how to do is say, how's the weather? But when it comes to the Facebook, you get much more information. Now, I know some people get hung up on what's not real. Who cares? I don't really want all the real. I deal with the real on a daily basis as a counselor. I don't need your real on Facebook. I like your fake and phony.
Well, and the other thing too, on that same note of experiencing other people's lives, if you will, you can also do it on your own time, right? Like if you don't have there's only but so many hours in the day, and if you're working or doing whatever, you're not going to see all these people every day, all day, and so you have the ability on your own time, maybe at night, whatever, at the end of the day, you can scroll through, and people who might be important to you, but you just didn't have the ability to hang out with that day, you get to see like, oh, wow, they're doing this. I didn't know that. Like, it allows you to kind of stay in touch with people that you normally wouldn't have the ability to.
Yeah.
And so it does, in a sense, it opens up the door for connectivity, right? And I'm wording that very carefully, because there are studies that show that we're less connected now than ever. So, but it opens the door for connectivity if we choose to use it.
Well, how else would you know, Trinity, that woman put up a profile just so she could find you because she's looking for the right man, and she would like you to text her at blank, 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 so you guys connect. How else would you find
I don't know, man.
Social media.
And speaking about weather, dude, I remember when I was a kid, the way we found the weather was either watching the weather report that only came on at certain times, or you had to look outside and be like, I think it's going to rain today. I don't know. So now you literally can I get like a 7-day forecast. That's all technology, and it does come in handy. Like for me, you and I both living in Florida, we do a lot of like canoeing and things of that nature, kayaking. I'm able to look on my phone and say, hey, is today a good day to... Matter of fact, it was like a couple months ago, we were going to go to the beach, and I was going to bring my dog to the beach, and so I was able to look on the radar and say, hey, look, there's going to be a window there, and let me go ahead and make it... I wouldn't be able to do all that without technology, and so...
No. You used to have to find an old person and ask them...
My knees are hurting.
Yeah, my knees are hurting, yeah. Yeah, that's how they used to know that the weather was about to change. Their knees would be hurting.
Yeah, so I think that... technology is phenomenal, man. Technology has helped us in I think countless ways. And yes, I think the majority of it is convenience. It's made things much more convenient for us. But like I said, it has done life-saving things. Medicine, our surgeries and stuff my wife had a surgery not like a couple years ago now. And it used to be a very complicated, very hard surgery to recover from. Dude, they did like laparoscopic. It was like within a couple days she was fine. That's crazy to me that they went inside, did all this stuff, and like 3 days later she's feeling totally fine. Like that's technology. That stuff would have killed her back in like the Middle Ages.
Dude, my dad's scarring from his hernia surgery compared to mine is
Yeah.
way different. You can't even see any.
Yeah, mine too. Yeah.
I had 3 hernias taken care of. My dad had 1, and it looks like he got butchered.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
exactly. And Marissa brings up a good one here too. The GoFundMe's, the ability to do crowdsourced funding. To say, look, I can't get money from this, so let me give it to the people. Back in the day, you're only limited to your neighborhood or your friends, which might all be the same financial situation you're in. But now you have the ability to put it out there to the world and say, look, is this something you care about? And they have the ability then to donate or contribute if they want to. So, yeah, and not only that, but, there was a time in America's history that if we wanted to go to California, it would have taken weeks. And one of us probably would have died on the way, And now we could just hop on a plane and in a couple hours we're there, safe and sound. And, so I think that technology as a whole has been absolutely beneficial and definitely.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, people are always saying, well, the good old days. What days? Because when I look back at history, it doesn't seem that good to me. Like, some stuff seems okay, but overall, like, no, dude, you could have died of like a hangnail back in the day. Like, no, I'm good. However,
people that look like you were not very nice back in the old days.
Touche.
You would have been hitting us with a hatchet.
Yeah, well, how far back are we going here?
Viking days.
Yeah.
You would have rolled up in your little boat, in your little Viking boat, and I would have been that little Spaniard going, "Que pues?" You would have came with your.
Yeah, but most likely I would have died at sea somehow. Like on our way over there, I would have died from a storm or something. But anyways,
you're right. I would have been in a bigger ship. You'd have been in your little Viking boat,
Yeah.
and I would have been on a Spanish galleon just blowing you out of the water.
Hey, we made good boats though. But having said all that, in the interest of time, so let's move on to the cost, right? Because it does come at a cost. And I think that is what people focus on oftentimes is the cost of this technology, right? And so using what we were just talking about, transportation. So we created, boats and trains and automobiles and all this other stuff that help us, but it came at a cost, right? Like it's messed up our environment potentially. It's decimated some of our forests and things of that nature. We've had to cut.
Screw all that. Patience, man.
Well,
Patience.
it does come at a cost.
Anything.
Yeah, that too. So our environment has definitely taken a hit. Other things that have our sanity, like you said, our patience. I remember there was a time we were talking about this earlier, joking. When the internet first came out, AOL and stuff like that, like it took like 30 seconds, sometimes a couple minutes, to upload just one page. And now, if it takes more than like 3 seconds, we're like, "What's wrong with this stupid thing?" So yeah, I agree. Our patience has definitely been thinned out. Other unfortunate things. Some of the technology we've created has been used to hurt people. The atom bomb is a good example. There's a lot of technology, but it hurt quite a few people. So there's definitely technology that's been misused or been created for evil intent, right? And so I think that definitely back to the study that I mentioned earlier with social media and stuff. Going into that one is there's studies out now that say that we have more ability to connect now, but we're more lonely than we've ever been. There's something about the screen time. It takes away a certain personable element to it. It makes us more detached, less interested in the people who are sitting right in front of us. And some of those things are considered negative for a lot of people. So there's definitely a lot of cons. I think that we're getting into the unknown a little bit here, so I'm trying to be careful in how we tread on this one. But our children and stuff are exposed to a lot more than what we were exposed to. Like, just let's use nudity as an example. As a kid, if I wanted to see nudity, the best I could probably do is walk in on my friend's mom or something, or if my friend's dad had like a Playboy or something. That was it. That was the extent. And even then, in today's standards, it's pretty PG. To whereas, I caught my daughter like a year or so ago looking up some of the stuff. I was like, what the hell? But she had the ability, if she was able to do it, to unabridged essentially. Like she was, like just look up whatever you want. Literally, the internet you can find almost anything you want to on the internet. And so being exposed to those kinds of things before you're ready, I definitely think could potentially be seen as a bad thing, and not just from a physical or a sexual standpoint. I mean, dude, I remember when I was a kid, like watching steakandcheese.com is what it was. I was watching people being beheaded. Like I'm watching Middle Eastern people just cutting off heads. Like I'm watching that, as an adolescent. I'm gonna say that probably wasn't a good thing. I'm sure it desensitized something in me. So I definitely think that is an example of something negative. I will agree with you that the patience part, I think that we associate in a joking manner patience as far as, hey, this is taking too long to load, but I can't guarantee that doesn't bleed off into other areas of my life when, like, the person in front of me won't go when the green light hits and I get my patience met. I don't know if they're connected or not. I would assume they are, but, I think those are definitely examples. Guns. We have how many people die a year of guns? That's technology that we use that it was supposed to be used to fight wars and defend and fight for the little guy or whatever, but it's also been used to hurt and murder people. Any more negatives you can think of?
Yeah, I used to just have to worry about creepy uncles, right? That's all we had to worry about is creepy uncles. Now we got to worry about everybody's creepy uncle, not just your creepy uncle.
Yeah.
You got to worry about everybody's creepy uncle.
Yep.
I could say that, earlier you said the atom bomb killed a lot of people. I could say by killing all those people with that atom bomb kind of probably saved a lot of other people's lives because we don't have wars the same way anymore. Yeah. We used to war very differently, and they used to be brutal. And so I think by having much more powerful weapons, less people go pick fights.
I can see that.
Or they pick fights differently, and it's quick and it's isolated. Whereas, we're not over there fighting the same way. They're not over here fighting the same. And I think that there's probably a lot of examples like that. When you think technology, that by having a major impact, quicker and in your face, probably saves a lot of time. Right. So our patience, like I said, the negative is the patience level. And I think the other thing that you say a lot, Trinity, is that the validation, the misinformation and validation, I think is probably the biggest negative that I could think of, other than patience, is that everyone out there feels validated in their stupid thinking. So no matter how stupid you are, no matter how wrong you are, you feel somehow validated because you found some other idiot that's saying the same crap that you're saying. So for some reason, you feel emboldened, and you probably even created a website or a page that further emboldens you. And then you got a lot of other idiots kind of
all the town crazy people found each other. Yeah, they formed a group.
That's an issue,
You know what? I agree with that 100%. And for those of you who don't listen to us regularly, one of the things that I think he's touching on is when I say that one of the things I realize even with my own kids is when we all grew up, we thought we were right? Because all kids think they know everything. However, we were basing everything we knew on what we saw, and what we saw was just our normal community and our friends and our family, which is a very small, it's anecdotal at best, right? It's just such a small microcosm of the world. And so we proceeded with caution. We had some arrogance, but we had a little bit of caution that says, hey, I could be wrong. I don't know. To whereas today's youth has no fear. Today's youth, because they'll look it up and they're like, well, I found all these articles and all these people agree with me. So they don't have that little voice inside that says, hey, and I call that little voice wisdom. They don't have that wisdom to say, hey, I might not be right on this. Let me approach with caution. Let me hedge my bets. Let me think about. No, they just full steam ahead because they've done the research, right? And reading reading one article online or Wikipedia is not research, guys. But they have this false sense of confidence where they feel like they're untouchable or they've got the answer because they read a couple articles. And yeah, I agree with you. I think that's extremely dangerous. And Marissa had an interesting question. She says, question for both of you. How much do you find that technology has influenced your ability to reach people who need help? And do they use the online platform to reach out for you or reach out for help from you?
Yes, but to be honest with you, a lot more is still person to person.
Yep, same here.
The people that I speak directly, it's I met someone that knows you, or you help their son, that, that kind of stuff. So nothing beats person to person. Nothing.
Yeah, I get
As far as a warm handoff is still the most effective way for someone to actually get help. It's less cold. It's a warm handoff. You help my friend, therefore maybe you can help me.
Well, I think it's a mixture from us, right? Like I think we rely on the warm handoff, but we utilize technology to make it more efficient. Meaning, we don't get a lot of people. I know I don't. I don't get a lot of people I've never met who I'm not connected to in any way, shape, or form reaching out for help. I don't get a lot of that. What I do get a lot though is people on my Facebook who knows what I do because we see all this and will send me a private, direct message saying, "Hey, I need help with this particular situation or somebody in my life or whatever." And so, in that sense, technology gave them the privacy that they required, right? Like they don't see me out in public, and they don't have maybe my personal number or whatever, or don't feel comfortable, but they do feel comfortable sending me a private message saying, "Hey, my cousin or my brother or whatever." So in that sense, technologies help facilitate that, but it's still usually a warm connection. And then just logistically and paperwork, we send people to the website to fill out an application and do all those other things. It's just, we've been able to merge the two a little bit and help kind of, make it more efficient. But I agree with you that I think the initial kind of point of contact is still some sort of warm handoff. It's still some sort of personal relationship. I can only think maybe of a few right off the top of my head of people who've reached out to me anyways, that I wasn't connected to somehow, some way. Very few people have just randomly out of nowhere reached out.
I used to joke when I started doing radio, now about 25 years ago. 22 years ago on the Couch Live, but even before that, do another time. But once I became the dope doctor 22 years ago on radio, and I did news segments, all of a sudden I'm the expert. And I used to joke with my wife, they don't know I'm an expert. All of a sudden, because I'm on TV, because I'm on the radio, all of a sudden I'm the expert, right? That I used to like that because I was able to do more stuff, right? It opened opportunities up. Now, every clown is an expert. Yeah. So there's a lot of people out there that are experts in what they do, some falsely, and then some for real. For instance, I would have never even attempted to fix my water heater in my last house. But there was an expert out there that not only knew how to fix a water heater that looked just like mine, but he did a video explaining how to fix the water heater just like mine. And therefore, I fixed the water heater. So you have the real experts, the good experts, and so we're able to do all these DIYs, right?
Yeah.
But then you have the fake and phony experts, and those are just the people just expressing opinions about every issue that's out there. So the caution, I would say, when it's something for real, it's something physical, and they're teaching you how to do something in your house, paint, drill, build, whatever, that's fantastic. But be careful of just the opinion experts. And some might say that's us right now.
Yeah.
Just offering our opinions.
Yep.
Be careful of people like us.
Yep.
Because they can use that power of influence for just crappy ideology.
Jim Jones?
Yes.
Just to name one?
Yes.
Yeah,
Cultish think, cultish thought.
Yes. Richard, Richard, we apologize, man. He had some filming to do at the studio, and then I did. I had to go pick up the kids, so that's why we're a little bit later than normal.
On purpose.
Yeah. We were trying to do it earlier, just didn't have time. So now I want to switch just a little bit into the unknown. By all means, if anybody comments, we'll address everything, but just to keep the flow going, because this to me, I think, is the one I'm most interested in, is the unknown, right? Because we have the positive and the negative, and I think that those are relatively debatable. People have different opinions and stuff like that. But the unknown is, to me, the most interesting part, because from a philosophical standpoint, it's unknown, and we really have no idea on what that's going to do. And so just to kind of kick it off, what you and I were talking about last night, even, one of the opinion that I gave was that I think that some of this stuff we're not going to really know how, like we're going to have to evolve out of it. Meaning we're going to have like 3 or 4 generations living with this to kind of evolve to really kind of get an idea of what it's going to do to us and how we're going to. And that's why I said it's unknown, because we don't know if it's going to be a good or a bad evolution. And I don't know if you can define evolution as good or bad. It's just evolution. It just is. Like it depends on your personal take. But as a species, I think that we're evolving and we don't know what that's going to look like. For example, there's studies out there. I read the ones where people are having like neck malformations because of all the time looking down on their phones. You said you saw one about their hands as well, about her hands are kind of just changing slightly. And then you and I both are aware of the synapses in the brain and the neural pathways. So this constant need, like as an example I gave was when I was a kid, I remember when I was playing Nintendo or Super Nintendo or what have you, dude, I was so like zoned in. That was it. The house around me could have burned down and I probably wouldn't have noticed because I was so zoned in on having just this amazing time. But now I look at my kids now and they're playing video games that are far superior to anything that I was playing when I was a kid. And that's not enough. They have to also have like YouTube playing or TikTok playing at the same time while they're playing a game. And it's crazy that to think that like I would have been completely overloaded as a kid trying to do what they're doing. Even as an adult, like I can't watch like a video while I'm also I get overwhelmed. And so I think that for us, I did play Atari. I think for us as adults, it's one thing, but as kids, they're already adapting, and that's changing the way their brain kind of takes on, the dopamine and things of that nature. And so when they have kids, they're going to pass on some of that. That's how evolution kind of happens. So their kids are going to be more adept or more in tune to adapting to those things. And what's that going to mean for us as a society? Like, what is that? We're less social than we were. Like the patience, the anxieties. What's that going to do to us? Nobody knows. They have studies out right now. What was it? I think it was. I keep wanting to say Wall Street Journal. I hope that's what it was. The article that came out showed that the teenage girls were higher rates of suicide and more body image issues and stuff due to Instagram. We've had other studies like right now in the world how Facebook has really kind of intervened in different political wars in different countries and how it's directly impacted that. So like we would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge that this does have a real impact, but we don't. I'm hesitant to say good or bad because we don't know. We really truly don't know. And as we were saying last night, you've had more years of legitimate like schooling than I have. You have the degrees and whatnot. You've studied this. I've spent years reading into this stuff. But the thing that we have in common is everything that we've read and studied is completely worthless when it comes to what we're going through right now, for the most part, because nobody knows how this internet and everything else, how it's impacting everything. It's all just a guess. At best, psychology is a guess, anyways. Now, granted, it's based on data and things of that nature, so it's an educated guess. But what we're dealing with right now, there's not even an educated guess yet. Like, we really, truly don't know. What do you think, man?
Well, I think that the poor giraffe has a much more difficult life because of his ancestors. Because the giraffe would be able to just go around and be cool like a horse. But no, the ancestors had to have that berry that was way the hell up there. That fruit that was way the hell. So little by little, their freaking neck got really long. And now the poor giraffe suffers. Because when there's food here low, the giraffe has to go down like that. Nobody wants to ride a giraffe. It's hard to ride a giraffe. They're basically useless to the planet other than to feed themselves. They become very selfish animals and useless. So that can happen to us if we don't watch it, because if we keep adapting in a way that's non-useful, that could be problematic. However, I tend to believe that the aliens who've created us, they know exactly where they're going with this. They're breeding us slowly. We're a very well-bred.
We're food.
Yeah, we're a very well-bred species. We're being nurtured very nicely. They're giving us just little bits at a time because they've already been through this. They already know what it's like to feed us information too quick. They know what it's like to feed us technology too quick. So I I like the way it's going.
We're a science project.
Yeah, to me the unknowns are okay being unknowns. I'm on a need to know basis, truly.
Yeah.
I don't need to know everything.
Yeah.
Trust me, if I'm in a petri dish, leave me in my little petri dish. I am good with that.
Yeah.
My biggest problem as a youth, to be honest with you, and this is the real deal, was asking too many questions. And I always tell kids you can't ask too many questions, but as a little kid, to me, I felt like I did, because there's never the kinds of questions I was asking. There was never going to be an answer. There's just never an answer to it. Right? It's all based on faith and belief. So, so at some point, you just have to have faith that the answer you just got is enough, and it's okay.
Right.
And man, it just was never going to be enough.
Yeah.
And so that drove me crazy. For my type of brain, it was never good enough, and therefore it made me crazy, Trinity. So I personally have learned I'm good with that. Okay, so I know I don't ask questions anymore, Trinity. I'm good. I don't need. I am on a need to know basis. Hopefully, when I pass, I'm going to get some answers, and then I'll be like, oh, I'm going to sit back, like watch a movie, like eat my popcorn, and go, oh my God, it's right. It was there all along. Oh, how did I miss that? You know what I mean? It's like watching episodes all over again, but then they're going to point to, you didn't see that, you didn't see that, that was here. All these little hints and clues, and I'm going to feel like such an idiot, going like, oh my God, oh yeah, I should have seen that.
Well, Richard finally chimed in.
I like unknowns. I love unknowns.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of them. But that's the thing is too many people don't want to admit that they're unknown. They think they have the answers, be it positive or negative, and the truth is they really don't.
Yeah, is this show meant for my wife? Because Dana tends to believe that she has a lot of knowns, and
I'm not touching that one. Although she doesn't watch, so we're good.
That's why I'm saying it.
Exactly.
My wife tends to think she understands every little thing and goes, that's why. And so she thinks, you have no opinions. I go, no, baby, it's not that I don't have any opinions. I just think there's a lot more left that we don't know. I mean, it sounds good. Like your hypothesis sounds great.
Yeah.
And I can go with that. I'm just not going to invest a lot of emotion into a hypothesis.
Yes.
Why would I do that?
Yeah, no, I agree 100%, man. And I wasn't always like that. When I was younger, I was definitely much more black and white. But now as I've gotten older and more into spirituality, I've come to the idea of, but, like that sounds good, but there is another thing we don't really know. So Richard, I know he chimed in, so let's get to his comment.
Yeah, bring
he
him in.
said, the more technology of any kind keeps us isolated, the more society will struggle with mental resilience, social skills, empathy, and character traits. If we never have to interact with others, where is the accountability to be a productive member of society?
But we are interacting with other people.
I don't.
He just did it.
Yeah.
He just did it. Didn't he just interact with us?
I think so.
And if I'm mistaken, Richard, don't you live in North Carolina?
North or south? I don't remember which one, but
I think he lives in
I think it's North.
Charlotte area, right?
I think so. I that's what I'm saying. I think that I can speak for myself on this one. I had to have a moment, and my kids really helped me with this, to be honest with you, just watching them kind of grow. I was stuck or I was on a path of that same old kind of get off my lawn path of, well, the way we did things and the way things were done for us was the right way. And looking at the kids, we need to pass that on. And it was understanding that I didn't feel like my mother understood everything that I was going through. And then I'm looking at my kids thinking, you know what, they're probably thinking the same thing. And then, watching my kids do, and it started with video games, to be honest with you. It was my wife and I had a conversation about video games where she didn't like the fact that they were playing so much and wanted them to get out. And I was like, yeah, but what if my son's the Michael Jordan of Fortnite and he's never going to know if we keep they don't, and I drive around my neighborhood, and once again, good or bad, it just depends on your opinion, but there's no kids playing like there was when I was a kid. Like when I was a kid, you couldn't walk out the door without seeing streets, just kids running streets and riding bikes and stuff. In my neighborhood, I know there's kids because I see them get off the bus, but when I drive around, I don't see a ton of them. Like they're all inside. And I know that the inclination there is to compare it to what we did and say, well, that's just not good. They need to do this. However, what I had to remind my wife in that situation was we don't know what their life is going to be like. We don't know what their future.
Right.
And so, like, I introduced my kids to an iPad early on, and it wasn't, it wasn't a babysitter. It was just there was so many apps and things of that nature that replaced my need to go out and buy thousands of dollars of like different teaching tools. Right, it all came in an app, and so I invested into that, and I'm thankful I did, because they learned so much, and I was able to keep up with their learning because it was just an app away. I didn't have to go out there and spend another $100. No, I could just download another app, and it kept up with their ability to learn. And then now when they go to school, they have iPads in school, and they don't have to like learn how. They already knew. Like when they got it, they just breezed through it all. And so they're so in tune with where the world is moving from a technological perspective. They're not held back at all. However, if I would have limited their ability to do that, then they would have kind of been behind some of these other kids who had access to that. And so I'm not, once again, don't confuse this with me saying that it's all positive. I'm not saying it's either or. I'm just saying it's evolving, and you kind of have to keep up with it. You have to adapt. And we have to take in consideration there are positives and there are negatives, and we just do our best to deal with each one of them. And so I think what Richard might have been saying was, and I relate to him, or I did more so than I do now, the idea of not having face-to-face, because it used to drive me nuts, dude. Like when and it started with Trevor, my 21-year-old now. It drove me nuts, man. When he was trying to say, "Oh, these are my friends," and when he's playing video games, I was like, "You never even met these people. You don't know who they are." Like, however, he's still friends with some of these to this day. Like, and Carlos, we both know him. He's got friends now. He's actually gone up and visited in New York that he played games with. Like.
Oh, to you. We interviewed one.
Yeah, we interviewed one on here not too long ago. So we do have to kind of we have to evolve. We have to realize that our definition of, like he said, communicate is different. Like the old school ways where you had to shake a man's hand and look him in the eyes and sit down with him. There's a benefit. There's a value to that, but there's also a value of being able to communicate electronically with people from across the world as well. Like there's a value to both. Go ahead.
No, what I was going to say is, all right, so I want to break it down just a little bit more.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, we had to play outside. Yes, we had to play outside because we didn't have all those things to stay inside, right? But that's not what the future is going to look like. Nope. First of all, if the people are correct about the way the planet is heading, we need to slowly adapt to not need outside interaction at all, because it's going to burn us or it's going to freeze us, right? So we need to slowly adapt into being able to stay inside and not go outside. So that maybe we're transitioning for a reason. Maybe because this planet is going to be destroyed in some way, shape, or form, the way we know it, and it'll be safer to live inside your little bubble and not go out. Now, if that would happen overnight, it'd be really hard to deal with. Right? Yeah. But if it transitions slowly, then our children's children aren't going to worry that they have never played outside. They're not going to miss what they've never had, because they're going to immerse themselves into a virtual world where they can do more outside in a virtual world than we would ever be able to do in a real world. So the other thing is, he said he's from Race City, USA, right? Charlotte, North Carolina, even though I'm closer to Daytona, where we would like to argue that a little bit. Daytona is a real home of NASCAR, even though it kind of lives in Charlotte for some reason. Everybody lives in Charlotte, but Daytona, I never understood that, by the way, other than driving. So sure. He hasn't that because he was on a pit crew. But so in Race City, USA. So now, in today's world of racing, Trinity, you can do iRacing from anywhere. Yeah. Anyone can do iRacing and learn how to drive a race car on a track with very similar setup, and so to the point that in today's real NASCAR world, these guys practice setups on a rig, on a fake simulator. Like the setup, like how much air pressure, how much this, how much that, on a fake. So by the time they start racing on Sunday, they've never even had a practice. All the practice was on a simulator. And then the first time they're on a real racetrack with that setup is on race day. That's incredible.
There's actually a gentleman, I cannot remember his name at the moment, but there's a gentleman in Formula One racing, the Indy cars, that's how he got his contract. He was racing electronically video games, and he was so good that one of these teams actually gave him an opportunity to try out for them. And he's actually a paid driver doing quite well on the circuits, right? I can't remember his name at the moment. But he got there not because he was just killing everybody, growing up. No, he was killing everybody on the freaking video game. And they're like, yo, give this guy a chance. And now he's one of the better Formula One racers out there.
Look, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s spotter was a friend of his from one of these video game systems.
Richard said he said that. Let me see. Let me pull that down real quick. He said that the question becomes: so we need to reduce the effects of the evolution. I don't think we can. I think that's evolution. I think it's happening, and we just gotta. We're on the sidelines on that one, man. We're passengers on that one. Look, he says, but I've heard you. Huh?
I was just gonna give him a positive. Here's the positive thing, Richard. That we're not gonna live 2,000 years.
No, we won't see it.
I don't have to worry about how crazy it gets because I'm not going to be around.
Well, he said, I pray I never see that world. You won't.
But by the time you come around again, which, let's say samsara actually exists. Let's say reincarnation actually exists. I won't remember it. So it's cool. I might have dreams of something. I might have feelings of something. I might even have premonitions or deja vus. But I won't remember it. So we're good.
Yeah. His next comment was... but I've heard you say multiple times people wouldn't say and do some of the horrific things they do if they had to do it in person. I agree. I think that I do believe that the anonymity of the internet gives people more, confidence and courage to say and do things that they might not do in person.
Like liquid courage. Though.
Yeah.
Liquid courage. Now people have internet courage.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And I'm not going to say... do I find it distasteful? Yes, but I can't outright say that is a net positive or a net negative. And let me expand on that. What I mean is bullying is what it is, right? We can argue that bullying is a bad thing because it hurts people. Or there's people out there that can argue that bullying is a good thing because it teaches you how to deal with difficult people. It gives you the confidence to withstand and grow. And so the idea that there's people out there saying nasty things on the internet, I don't know. I can't say it's inherently positive or negative. I think it's all how we interpret it and how we respond to it. Otherwise, there's always been people out there doing negative and horrific things. This is just a different platform, and so I could argue that it's positive, meaning if my daughter is struggling with something that somebody says on the internet, I can just close the laptop and she's done. To whereas in person, if she can't run fast enough, she's going to get hurt, and so. There is an argument to be made that it's better to have it. I know for me, I scoffed at the idea of somebody who's going to bully. I remember my first bully. His name was David Campbell. And I made friends with him and we bullied other people. But I remember being bullied when I was younger in elementary school from him. And if you gave me the choice at that point to be bullied in person or to have somebody write something on an email about me, I'd take the email 100 times, man, because the email didn't hurt in the morning. And so I think that there's no clear cut positive or negative on that one, and then
that my behaviors could have really been really bad if people were able to take pictures and videos of some of the things I did as a young person, using whatever. I would never be able to be the person that I am today for the people that I am today because we do. Here's what has suffered, Trinity. We lack more forgiveness now. Besides losing our patience, we lack forgiveness.
Yeah.
We have become a society of non-forgiving, which is really sad. Yeah. Because if you find an image of someone or you hear a story and there's a picture to back it up or a video to back it up, showing them to be intolerant or distasteful or abusive or non-inclusive, you look at that and you make it today's news as if it happened today.
Yeah.
It's different when I tell you I was arrested at 17 years old for 2 counts of attempted murder. I can tell that story. You forgive me. It's not a visual in your head. You know who I am today. You know what I've done since age 17. So it's real easy for me to come out here and build a life that I have built. But if you had an image of that day,
yep,
and you took an image of that day and you translated into, wait a minute, these are the kind of people that were fighting
Yep.
Oh, he's a Mexican doing that. He's a lighter skinned Mexican doing it to a darker skinned Mexican.
Yeah.
You can misconstrue those images, and I would never have the life that I have right now.
Yeah, I'll have to second that, right? Like, and that's why I think that I like what we do here. I think it's partially our duty to do that, and what I mean by that is so I'll watch something, I don't know, the latest outrage video, right? And I'll hear people talking about, like, well, how could you do that? Nobody would ever do it. And then I immediately think to myself, sometimes either I know somebody who's done that exact same thing I'm watching, or I might have done that exact same thing. Now, granted, in my perspective, there's context. There's a reason why I did this or whatever, and there's probably context for the individual we're watching now. However, like you said, I remember it's a couple years ago now, Ray Rice, the running back for the Ravens. He got in trouble for punching his wife.
Right.
Everybody knew he did it. He admitted to it. They talked about it. The NFL came out and punished him, and it was all done. Everybody knew what it was. Done. Like a week later, the video came out. When the video came out and everybody saw what he did, it changed everything. He's out of the league and he's never been back. And people still, when I say the name Ray Rice, people still associate him with that. Now, I said it before, that same exact week, Terrell Suggs basically almost killed his wife. I mean, he threw her on the couch and guns. It was a horrible thing. There's no video of it. Nobody heard about it. It was the same week, mind you, and nobody heard about it. And that's because there's no video. And so, for me, if there was video of some of the things that I did as a kid, and so there's many things I can think of right now, like my top 10 things that, if there was video footage with no context and no nothing, dude, nobody would listen to me or take me seriously right now. Because all they would see is that horrific act or that bad thing that I did. And I'm so much more than my worst moment. And that's the thing that everybody is. Everybody's better than their worst moment. And I agree with you that as a society, we're so harsh right now. And I don't know if that's because of social media or technology. I don't know why. I just know that for whatever reason, we're so harsh. Right. And I do hope that we overcome that. I do hope that we evolve from that.
Or what you used to think is funny is no longer funny today. But in the context of that time, it was.
Yeah.
Hickory dickory dock.
Andrew Dice Clay.
Dice Clay could not be in today's world.
No.
What do you call it? Oh my God.
George Carlin?
George Carlin could not exist in today's
He's so funny, though.
There's so
Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor.
Dude, even Eddie Murphy's comedy back in the day, I don't think it would be all right now.
Look, you have to take these things in the context of the time.
Yep.
That's it. And so it's unfortunate that even comedy is judged in that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that's the things that I'm talking about, Trinity. It's just that when you look at you have to know that you have a lens on. And your lens is based on the years that you have existed. But we always take the lens that we have and we try to go into a time of the past and continue to use that lens and judge that past. You can't.
No.
And that goes with everything. You can't look at World War II era with this lens and get it. You can't look at World War I era with this lens and get it. And you just can't do it.
Nope.
You think that you would take these morals, these values, these ethics, and that's the way it should have been. No. You are doing a great disservice to yourself, and you're disrespecting reality of the past. That is the way it was. This is the way it is. Deal with today and forward, and that's what you can control. But don't take your little anger and your frustration and your little feelings of today and try to apply them to the past, because you just can't do that.
Well, and on the flip side, right, talking about technology, and that's kind of the point I was trying to make, was with today's technology and how it's impacting us and the things that we're seeing, we can't take today's lens and predict what tomorrow's going to be. We don't know. We're judging everything based upon our histories and our past and our expectations and our value system. But the world 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 50 years from now isn't going to have the same value system that we currently have. And case in point, when we look back, we judge harshly all the things that our our ancestors or our previous people have done, don't think that 50 years from now they're not going to do the same thing to us right now. And so, for me, from a technological standpoint, I don't think it's as simple as it's helping or hurting us. I think it's affecting us, and in some ways it's affecting us in a profoundly positive way. But in other ways, it's affecting us in a very negative, harmful way. And we don't know what that's going to do to us long term. So I think that all we can do now is, like you said, kind of try to approach it from a compassionate perspective and have compassion for ourselves and have compassion for everybody else around us who are all going through this exact same thing at this exact same moment. And none of us know what to do with it.
The unfortunate thing is that there is no escape right now. Like we had the escape of a Fred Sanford. We had the escape of a George Jefferson. We had the escape of a Archie Bunker to laugh at our elders' silliness. Now, there's so many you young people out there. You're, instead of laughing at my ideology or the way that I grew up, you're shaming it, and you're like, I don't deserve existence, or I don't deserve a voice. Yeah. No, man. The older generation is always laughing. That's why those characters were funny. That's why Fred Sanford was funny. That's why George Jefferson was funny. That's why Archie Bunker was funny, because the younger generation always looks at the older and goes, how could you be that way? How could you think that way? And then the older person is always going, how could you be that silliness? Because every single one of those characters I just mentioned had a son that was more liberal than them, and they would always fight and argue. And both sides had merit, and they were both, and it was funny.
Yep.
Doesn't exist right now. So whatever. I'm good. Maybe you'll be maybe you'll be the Michael Jordan of TikTok. Since
maybe
maybe by watching all those TikTok videos, you'll be such a great judge. You'll be the new Simon Cowell of TikTok, and you'll find the next greatest and best thing. I don't know wherever it's going. I'm not going to judge it. I'm going to sit back and enjoy it as best I can, participate in it as best I can. But I'm cool with wherever evolution goes. Like you said, evolution just is. You can't stop it. You can't change it. You can't manipulate it. You definitely can't, go make it go in the direction you want it to go. No. It's going to go where it goes.
Yep.
The talk is going to come after tick. That's just the way it goes.
I agree, man. You got any other final words, or was that it for you?
Good. I know that they're waiting for me.
Yeah. Some more. So just real quick, final words for me. Well, first and foremost, thank you guys for tuning in. By all means, you could catch out more of our stuff on any major podcasting platform that you're on. Just look up Dharma Time. If you want to go to youtube.com/Dharma Time, you can catch all of our old shows. And as always, if you want to watch us live or stay up to date with what we're doing, facebook.com/WPSN99. Be sure to like, share, comment, all those fun things. It does help. As far as final thoughts, I kind of already said it. Just, technology is not inherently good or bad. Facebook, iPhones, all these things that we have, yes, we can find negative things, but if we try hard enough, we can also find many, many, many positive things. And so to me, I think the answer is, it just is what it is. It's our reaction, it's our response to it that really matters. We're going to have to get through this life one way or the other. Why not find the best way to do it, basically, is what I'm getting at. So, anyways, that's all I got. And thank you guys so much. And now that you know better, do better. Peace.
See you, Trinity. Bye, man.
Are you still here? What are you doing? I told you, go do better.